There is a no-brainer solution to the Russia-Ukraine war, and in this video, I'll tell you why President Trump didn't want it anyway. I'll make this quick, because this is a channel that sells t-shirt, not world peace. Unless you buy my t-shirts and I'll do anything for you. At least I'll think about it. Now, here's what everyone gets with my solution. America gets Ukraine's coveted minerals, which is good for defense, tech, and maybe your drinking water. America's taxpayers get the money they gave Zelensky back with interest and then some. Trump gets other NATO countries to contribute their fair share to NATO. Democracy wins against tyranny, communism, Islamism, and terrorism. Ukraine gets to rebuild itself without fearing Putin's world-renowned inability to keep his word and keep bulldozing Ukraine back to a 2D flatland. Putin gets to sleep like a baby again at night and replace that ridiculously long meeting table with something more practical. Xi wouldn't bet his house on successfully invading Taiwan, seeing how Putin didn't get his hunger for expansion satiated. And most importantly, democracy will triumph over the communist Islamist terrorist boy band known as the BRICS in the long run. Now anchor your balls to the ground, meditate on the benefits shown to you, and don't run off like an emotional Karen before you get a full explanation of my solution. Please.
В нашому порядку денному також робота щодо НАТО. Запрошення для України в НАТО – необхідна річ для нашого виживання.
Still around? Your anchor still good? Good. Here's the full solution. Zelensky is right. Let Ukraine into NATO. You'll see later that this is not just about Zelensky or Ukraine. In fact, Zelensky offered to step down if Ukraine gets into NATO.
Якщо мир для України, якщо вам дуже потрібно, щоб я залишив свій пост, я готовий. Друга історія, можу поміняти це на НАТО.
If you hate Zelensky that much, there's the chance to get rid of him. But because European NATO countries are so desperate for Trump to support Ukraine's membership into NATO, he can press NATO countries by saying that he will only support Ukraine into NATO if every country in NATO contribute however much Trump wants them to contribute. 5% of GDP? After all, if Ukraine gets into NATO, chances are they won't have to spend that much on Ukraine anyway. Why not start contributing more to NATO? But of course, that's not enough. Putin will piss his pants, and this is where the US guarantees that NATO will never ever invade Russia if Russia doesn't ask for it. An agreement can be signed if it makes Putin feel safer. Besides, NATO has never started a war nor invaded a country. Putin has an irrational fear of NATO, like some humans have an irrational fear of squirrels. Pretty lame. Chances are, if Putin keeps his ambitions in check, he'll be able to sleep soundly at night. Yes, NATO is an indecisive squirrel who can't get anything done without the most powerful country's US support and every goddamn member agreeing. So it is easy. Even if all of NATO wants to invade Russia, all the US gotta do is say, nah. Besides, there are a couple of Russian plants in NATO, like Slovakia, Hungary, Bulgaria, and so on, who would pretty much vote nay on anything that could tickle Russia. Nothing would get done. Russia will never get invaded unless it pokes the squirrel. Smart cunning Putin can't possibly not know this. Can he? No one's scared of NATO, including the motherland's leader himself. Why then did President Trump not want to do this? 3 reasons. America risks nothing. Even if Ukraine doesn't want a mineral deal, Putin will still give some of Ukraine's minerals to Trump on a silver platter post-annexation as a sign of their friendship. 2. What is the path of least resistance for Trump? Zelensky is easier to pressure than Putin. As he said, Putin is a smart and cunning man.
He's a very smart guy. He's a very cunning person.
And 3, Trump will get the optics regardless. In the short term, Trump gets MAGA applause, Americans wins everything, taxpayers get their money back from Ukraine with a hefty interest, industries get their rare earth minerals, Trump becomes the only president who can single-handedly stop wars, whether it is only for 4 years through a Ukrainian mineral peace deal or Russia flattening Ukraine so fast that Zelensky waves the white flag. So President Trump can say that at least the war stopped quickly and people stopped dying when he was president. With Trump as the most competent president ever, America can't lose. America will appreciate his rule. America feels powerful. But will Trump rule forever? We'll talk about this later. And who else is winning? Putin. He'll take a peace deal in a heartbeat if it means that he can resume his aspirations later. President Trump is just an inconvenient 4-year speed bump to his annexation ambitions. Besides, a temporary ceasefire will allow Russia to regroup and 20-fold his arsenal before its next attempt at annexing Ukraine. And if Putin resumes his war with Ukraine in the future, has President Trump truly successfully stopped Russia-Ukraine war? or merely move the burden to less competent successors after him to handle it. Also, by the time Trump steps down, Putin would have successfully formed a crack between NATO, EU, and the US, who acts as a scary, powerful facade for the alliances. And that crack will make those democratic alliances weaker than ever. Who do you think Putin is truly afraid of? Not NATO? No one's afraid of the petrified squirrel NATO. Watch this clip.
США тратят на оборонный расход, у них составляют примерно 40% от общемировых расходов на оборону. 39% общемировых расходов – это США, а Россия – 3,5%. И мы что, вот имея в виду вот это соотношение, собираемся воевать с НАТО, что ли? Ну, это просто бред.
It is the US in NATO everyone's afraid of. And with President Trump, even more so. Putin is only afraid of NATO because the US is agreement-bound to protect the countries in NATO if he attacks NATO. If the US is out of NATO, Putin and his boy band can tear NATO countries apart, piecemeal. And as all of this are happening, yes, let's not forget, Putin will still be the president of Russia long after President Trump steps down. Presumably until he leaves his motherland to meet his actual mother in Luciferland. But the problem is worse than you think. Who else is up there when Trump steps down? Exactly. You guys are smart. Xi, Kim, Khamenei, as well as most other Islamist leaders in a boy band, they will all still be in their own respective thrones scheming against the Western alliances. But it doesn't end there. Trump is the best and most competent president of all time. Agree? What are the chances that we get another president as competent and as powerful as Trump the next time around to continue protecting American interests 4 years later? J.D. Vance? Okay, 8 more years. That just delays the problem. And God forbid we get a lame Democrat president. Impossible? Never mind the senseless criminal AOC and cackling Kamala. Don't forget, there's also Josh Shapiro, the J.D. Vance of the left. Are you 100% sure that J.D. will be elected in 2028? Now, the boy band leaders will still be in their thrones, but can the damage done to the Democratic alliances be mended? Will they still stand if the US quits the alliance? Will they trust the US again? Can Uncle Sam go against the boy band all by himself? If Putin wins this time, the communist terroristic alliance wins against democracy, and you can be sure America's greatness is temporary. When Trump's gone, it's gone. So do you want Magan? Make America great now for just 4 years? Or make America great again and again and again and again forever? If it's the latter, only a president like Trump can lay the foundation to make that possible. If he can't, no one can. Make Ukraine get into NATO and strengthen the democratic force like never before. Trump deserves to be the president of the world. I hope he does the right thing. He needs to, or we're all fucked. Now about NATO, I take back my word. Maybe that alliance is already doomed because Putin's plans have already taken root. And that combined with their all or forget it veto system, it just makes NATO idiotic. Ukraine can never get in anyway because of that. Maybe make a new worldwide democratic alliance and make sure it doesn't get polluted by commies, Islamists, and terrorists. And let the voices of the members be weighted by their contribution and how much their ideologies align with the values of the alliance, as assessed by other members and the frequency they go against the alliance's general consensus. This way, the troublemakers get less power over time, and Ukraine and Taiwan can be members too. And again, only President Trump can do this. He's the most competent and feared president ever, by a long shot. Don't screw this up, please, Mr. President. Putin is cunning, and cunning foxes want to live, not suicide nuke itself into oblivion. Does this cunning fox want to damage his reputation among his fans and worse, die for his ego? Probably not. If anyone can make Putin feel safe, it is his best buddy Trump and the United States. Make Putin feel loved again. Give him a pat in the back, a true friend's hug. Send him some nice American steak and give him some financial incentive to make Russia great again. This is the last time I talk about Ukraine, I hope. I don't care about Ukraine for the sake of Ukraine or Zelensky. I care about Ukraine for the sake of democracy, defeating ambitious dictators, and making America great again, forever. I'm just a humble t-shirt seller, not a political commentator. By the way, my t-shirt store will be up soon enough. Still trying to get the payment system and website worked out. I had wanted to set up everything first before I get this message out, but it seems this message cannot wait. Only subscribe if you like funny t-shirt jokes and fill up your wardrobe with t-shirts.